Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Vinay Lanka and this is going to be a small YouTube video series on how to design and build your own autonomous rover or AGV from scratch using ROS. I've taken up this project as a small hobby and I've decided to document every single step that goes into this process so that you guys can follow along. And hopefully by the end of this series, this robot is capable of navigating from point A to point B in my house autonomously while mapping the entire area. This is going to be part 1 of hopefully a multi-part series, and we're going to look at how we're going to build the robot and how to get started with the Arduino. So let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at what I've built so far. Here I have a Raspberry Pi 3 which is connected via a serial cable to the Arduino Mega. The Arduino Mega then drives the two motors located below via an L298 motor driver. I've chosen this particular configuration because the Raspberry Pi is suited to run ROS. We'll take a look at what ROS is capable of at a later stage, but for now, let's think of Raspberry Pi with ROS as a higher level controller, which is issuing commands via the serial cable to the Arduino Mega, which acts as the lower level controller. This particular configuration makes sense because the Arduino is better suited to interact with lower level drivers such as the L293 and the motors. Looking at the design of the robot, I have based the entire design of these 4 aluminum T-slot channels. These channels are very versatile as they come in various shapes and can be cut to any length. Also, you can fit anything from any direction using those T-slot channel nuts, which is useful when I fitted the acrylic top and the 3D printed motor bracket. Okay, so let's take a look at what's underneath. Here we find that we have 4 lithium-ion batteries, each rated for around 3.7 volts. But I find out in practice that they give around 4 volts. So 4 of them will give around 16 volts. Here you can see them properly. Yeah. Coming to the front, we have 2 DC geared motors from Cytron with encoders built into them. The speciality of having encoders built into the motor is that these Hall effect sensors tell you how much each wheel has turned at any given point of time. Coming to the back of the robot, here we have a caster wheel which is attached to a 3D printed bracket. We've used a caster wheel instead of 2 wheels on the side because it's easier to maneuver a robot with a caster wheel. Before we jump into writing some code to drive the motor, I thought we'd take a moment to figure out how to drive these motors. Arduino can't handle the current requirements for most motors because it operates in the milliamps region and cannot handle the current requirements of these motors, which are magnitudes higher. Which is why we need these motor drivers. The one I'm currently using is the L298 motor driver board, which is the exact one I'm using in this project. We'll take a look at what these pins do in a while, but I'd like to highlight one important feature or concept of these motor driver boards called the edge bridge. The edge bridge gives us an easy way to turn a motor in 2 directions. Suppose we have a motor M, and to turn it clockwise, we need to turn this terminal positive and this terminal negative. With an edge bridge, by turning A positive and B negative, the current flows in this direction and the motor turns clockwise. Now suppose we were to turn it anti-clockwise, we just switch the polarities by turning C positive and D negative, and the current flows in the opposite direction. This functionality is given to us by the L298 driver board by these input pins. So suppose we have IN1 high, that makes A positive, B negative, turning motor A in one direction, say clockwise. In turning into high will make C plus and D minus, turning motor A anti-clockwise. Similarly, in 3 and in 4 will do the same thing for motor B. Okay, so it's finally time to write some code. This is some code to just check whether the motors are working or not by just turning them in one direction and another. Normally at this point I just slap some input output statements in some for loops and call it a day, but this is a YouTube video, so I decided to step it up. I've written a class for these motors. Now the class takes in the output pins, which are the motor outputs, and the encoder input pins, and I've written a constructor to initialize all these pins. I've also written a function called rotate. It takes in a value from 0 to 100 or 0 to minus 100, basically a percentage value, and all the functions are in this CPP file. The motor constructor function takes in all the pins and sets the pin modes. The rotate function, as I said before, takes a value from minus 100 to 100 and maps them from 0 to 180 if it's positive, and 0 to 190 in the other direction if it's negative. Okay, now coming back to the main program, we're just accelerating from 0 to 100, waiting for a while, decelerating it, waiting for a while, rotating them in the other direction. This is accelerating in the other direction, again waiting for a while, and decelerating, and again the whole thing loops again. So let's upload it and just check whether they're working or not. Time to take a look at what information we can extract from the motors using encoders. As I stated before, encoders are devices when connected to the motor shaft can tell us how much the shaft has rotated at any given point of time. Now, there are two types of encoders: incremental encoders and absolute encoders. Now, absolute encoders just tell us the position of the shaft at any given point of time, but incremental encoders just give a stream of pulses to tell us that the motor is moving. The type of encoder that I have connected to my motor is an incremental encoder. Here's a GIF that I found online from Last Minute Engineers, shout out to them, that illustrates what kind of pulses we can expect from an incremental encoder and how to make sense of it. So now when you see the motor moving clockwise, you see that when A goes high, B goes low, and similarly when it goes counterclockwise, when B goes high, A goes low, and vice versa. So using this logic, we can write an Arduino program with interrupts to check what direction it's moving and how to count those pulses. So this is some code to take in the inputs from an encoder and hopefully make some sense of it. As you can see, I'm not using my motor class, as I found out that these member functions can't be used in conjunction with the attach interrupt function. This is a limitation of the AVR language, as I found out after many frustrating Google searches. But for now, I'm afraid we'll just have to use the encoder pins as is without the motor class. So I've defined the motor pins right here, and I've defined two encoder position variables. And after defining their pin modes, I have used the attach interrupt function for each pin, and I've given it a function to execute as soon as the interrupt has been fired. Now these functions are defined here, we'll come to that in a bit. We also have a loop that just keeps printing these positions at an interval of every 10 milliseconds. Coming to the four interrupt service routines, we've named them encoder, do encoder A, do encoder B, do encoder C, and do encoder D. I've taken these ISRs from a YouTube channel called James Burton. Massive shout out to him. He was the one who inspired me to take up this project. So two of these encoders are for motor 1 and two of these are for encoder 2, which is on the motor 2. Now when we look at a low to high on pin A and the other one is running low, that means it's turning in one direction, else it's turning in the other direction. Similarly, these are level triggered interrupts, so we can get twice the resolution, and all this code is on my GitHub. I'll have it linked below, so you guys can just use this ISRs as is. So yeah, let's upload this to the Arduino and let's see what we get. So that's it for part 1. In part 2 we'll take a look at ROS and how to interface with ROS. So thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.